I didn't get seriously started into investing until a couple of years ago, but my husband and I are on track to be millionaires by 35, and I'm currently 30 years old right now. And so I want to share some of the accounts that we have and the ways that we manage our money and where we put our money to help it grow. I am just one person. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but I wanted to share what we decided to do in hopes that it could maybe help you or give you some ideas. There's a lot of other reasons or ways and why we will become millionaires. And so I'm happy to do another video on that as well, or put some tips in at the end. But I hope this video is helpful to you. And I know it can be a little bit scary when you're getting started, but the biggest thing is to just start. Don't worry about it being perfect or setting up the perfect account. I know I was a little bit nervous, like, what do I pick and what investments? But hopefully this will give you a little more clarity and maybe some inspiration or some ideas. Let's talk about it. All right, so the first thing we do to set up our money and have our files, our filing cabinets for money, and that's how I think about it. And I first learned from this from Jordan Page. She talks about having 7 bank accounts and why she had 7 bank accounts. And so that got my brain working when I first was a newlywed, and I've been married for over 5 years and been with my husband for 7, working on 8 years. And so we ended up having these different filing cabinets. So we have a checking and savings account. I have my own personal checking account and savings account, and my husband has his own checking and savings account as well. And so you might not agree with this, and that's totally fine. Do what works best for you. I know a lot of people, or Dave Ramsey and people, suggest that if you can be married, then you can share a bank account. It's not about not being able to, but it's finding what works for you. And so we have multiple shared accounts, which I'll talk about as well, but find that account for you. And so that's just what works for us. I know someone had said, if you have a CEO, you don't typically have 2 CEOs or 2 CFOs. And so we kind of manage our money in different ways. We both have different roles and things that we actually save or spend our money on and that we're in charge of. And so I'll talk about that as well. But we have a checking account, a savings account, and then we also have in our savings a little buffer. So we have that checking account, that's where the money goes in for my husband. And then we have a little bit of a buffer, typically about $1,000 in savings there. And then I have my checking account where the money goes in, and then we have a savings account there with that little buffer. And then our money goes from our checking accounts to our other accounts in different sources. You might wonder why we have these little buffers, and sometimes we put more in. Some people have a bigger buffer, but it's for any little thing that comes up. And we do spend a lot of money and try to get our money out of our checking accounts, so we don't just have all this extra money to spend. We like deploying it into assets, into investments and things of that nature, and get our money working. And so even though we send a lot of money out, for me at least, I find if I have a little bit of a buffer, like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in that savings account, then I feel comfortable investing more. And then I always have a little bit of a backup just in case I need it for any little thing, but also if something bigger comes up or something, an emergency comes up, I have the money and I don't have to stress. It's a little more stressful if I would have seen like $50 or $500 in my checking account, but if you have that little savings right there, it kind of gives you more peace of mind, at least for me. All right, the next account that we have that a lot of people recommend and financial experts recommend is having an emergency savings plan and having emergency savings. And so we are a family, we have 2 boys, and so we want to make sure we have savings for ourselves for an emergency. We have a family to take care of. And so typically they talk about 3 to 6 months of living expenses. So if it costs you $4,000 for a month to live, then you're going to need 3 times that, so $12,000, or 6 times that, $24,000. If it costs you $10,000 a month to live and you want 3 to 6 months, then you're going to need to have $30,000, or you're going to need to have $60,000. So whatever that is, the 3 to 6 months, some people, and I think my husband and I, we started with that, but then we grew it more to a full year of having a year of emergency savings. That is a little bit more conservative. And so it's totally up to you. We do have it working for us a little bit, but a lot of us, we wanted most of our money to be in index funds and in assets and things, but we also don't mind having a little cash around for other things as well besides emergencies, for purchasing assets or investing in a business and other businesses or projects that we have. So we have a little bit of that capital lying around that's easy to get out. And so if you want to know where to put an emergency savings, I'll put a list right here of some ideas of where a lot of people store their emergency savings. And so for us, we specifically invest in a high yield savings account. And these are awesome. I didn't always know about these. I wish I did, because I've been saving and had $20,000 since I was 18 and even more. and it makes more money for you. So typically the accounts right now make 4 to 5.5% APY. So every single year you'll make about 4 to 5%. And currently we have Betterment. And when we signed up a year or two ago, I think we had a different high yield savings, but then I was doing research and I found Betterment that had 5.5% APY. So I was like, hey, let's switch our money over to here because we'll be making a little bit extra money. And I know that was just a little detail. And so you don't always have to focus on the tiny details, but at that time, I certainly was focusing on anything that could help us even more. And so we put it there. And it's not going into this crazy investment. They just give you 5.5% on your money just for banking with them, because what you're doing is giving banks a loan. And I could talk more about this. Like, it's the same thing with gift cards. If you have a gift card or like the Starbucks app, they have billions of dollars that customers haven't even spent yet just sitting in the app, and they get to use that money to make more money for them. So it's super interesting. But that is where we currently put our savings and our emergency savings account. All right, so that is our main accounts. Those are our checking, our savings, our high yield savings. I also recommend not just going with your local bank. A lot of people like that because they can just drive up to it, but there's so many great online banks and they have a lot of benefits. And so I recommend looking into maybe some of those online banks. It totally depends on your personality. And so really do your research there, but there's a lot of benefits and perks. There are fees as well. So definitely look into that. And maybe if you want a video on the best banks to bank with or credit cards or things of that nature, let me know in the comments. I could do that, but those are the main accounts there. And so after that, we also have our retirement accounts and our work accounts. So if you are employed, definitely take advantage of those accounts. I do have a video. I could do more videos on this as well, but let's go ahead and get into it here. And so if you are working, you want to take advantage of the 401ks, the 403bs, the 457s, anything that they give you. And so we certainly do this. And I know this isn't necessarily the way to build long-term wealth. It is for some people. I talk about the Millionaire fast lane and owning a business or starting a business or investing in a business or being an entrepreneur. And so that's a faster way to wealth. But if you just want this stuff in a guaranteed way, you like your 9 to 5, you want to keep doing that, or you at least want to get set up on the sidewalk or the slow lane, you want to get set up here, and you will become a millionaire by doing these things. It just might take longer depending on how much money you make. If you make $400,000 a year and you live below your means, you could become a millionaire much faster. But I just want to disclaim that. And so there's a lot of ways. Like, a lot of people say index funds are just putting your money in these accounts is useless or it's not very smart. But honestly, if you're not going to become an entrepreneur, or even if you are, just having those things set up while you work on the other stuff can be beneficial, at least for me. So invest there. If you have a 401k, a lot of times, if you invest a certain percentage, like 5%, your employer will match that. And so if you put that money in, your employer gives you free money. So do the employer match. So both my husband and I invest up to the max for receiving our employer match. And so we both do that. And so we invest in our 401ks individually. So my husband has his, I have mine. We invest up to the employer match. We both receive the employer matches, and that's free money. That's an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, In addition, you could think that as extra money onto your salary just by paying yourself first, because the government, people want you to actually have money when you retire so they don't have to pay for you. So they incentivize you in that way. The other thing is there's other accounts to look into. So you can actually max out your 401k. And so there's tax advantages by doing this instead of just investing in a brokerage account. You do want to look at the fees and what investment options you have. So do they offer the S&P 500? Do they offer a target date index fund? And then what's the fees on that? And what's the growth on that? And so, but if you want, you can invest at work because it's going to reduce your taxable income and it's going to save you more money in taxes potentially. So that's something to look at. So we max out a lot of our 401k as well. And then we also have Roth 403bs. So we have 403bs where you can invest even more than just into your 401ks. There is a max. I could put that up here. Usually it's $22,500. I think they increased it again this year, but you can put more money in. And it's tax shielded. Now with the Roth, we decided to do a Roth. And so we do pay the money for our taxes initially, but then it grows tax free and it gets taken out tax free. And so that's another great thing. So take advantage of your work accounts. What do you have? Can you max out there? How can you reduce your taxes? There's a lot of ways to reduce your taxes, like if you have a business and things, but if you don't, this is something to consider. All right, outside of work, we also have more retirement accounts. And so we invest with Vanguard, you can choose Charles Schwab, you can choose Fidelity. We like Vanguard, and so, but it's up to you. Any of the main brokerages are typically going to be good, but the trading for index funds and such are a very low fee and cost, and so we like them, and it was a classic one. So we have general accounts with Vanguard. So we just have a regular brokerage account that has nothing to do with investment accounts. It doesn't have tax breaks, nothing like that, but we do have that. And then we also, where we buy index funds and things of that nature and other investments. And then we also have ones for retirement. So we have Roth IRAs. And so I have a Roth IRA and my husband has a Roth IRA, and we max those out every single year. And so if you just max out one Roth IRA every single year, if you're 25 years old and on, or even 30 years old and on for 30, 40, 50 years, I can put the calculation up here, but you'll be a millionaire just by doing that. Just by investing in one of those accounts. You can invest, I believe it's currently $7,000 for this year. Typically, the last few years they keep increasing it an extra $500. You can't go back and invest, like if say you have money now that you're like, oh, can I go invest in my 2022 one or my 2021 one? You can't do that. So it is important to make sure you invest in that tax year, but you can invest up to $7,000. You might be like, that sounds like a lot. Or you could be like, that doesn't sound like a lot. And so invest in those and you will have a lot of money. If you have a higher income, and there is an income, I could put that on here, what that income is, then you aren't allowed to invest in a regular Roth IRA, but there's a backdoor Roth IRA that you can do. And so there's a way around that. Let me know if you want a video on that, but that's another way to save money on taxes and to pay less tax, which can help you in your life. And the Roth IRA is a double tax advantage account. It gets taxed when the money goes in, but then it gets to grow tax-free and you get to take it out tax-free, which is awesome. We also have a regular IRA that was transferred over when I was a software engineer. I had money that was built up, and so I transferred that over into an IRA, so that's working for us. We also have a few other accounts. So we have accounts for our kids. We have 529 savings plans. We have Virginia 529 savings plans. That's where we are in the state that we're in. We did look at other states. Even if you say you live in Virginia, you can invest in Nevada's 529. Vanguard has a Nevada. That's where Vanguard's 529 is. We considered that one, but there are tax benefits and tax breaks if you invest in your states, and Virginia's was pretty good. And so we went ahead and did that. But that's a way, if your child wants to go to college, we don't know for sure what they'll end up doing. And I know that just learning skills, like I tell my kids, I know it's great to have a base foundation of knowledge, but I also wish that we could just, if they want to be an engineer or if they want to start a business, they can just start at when they're in middle school or high school. I think that would be so good for them. So who knows what they're going to want to do and what their path is, but we want to just be set up. And the biggest advice I always say is take care of yourself first. So figure out, like, we're working on our businesses and our other assets and investing in other things so that we're set up financially and we've built up a great amount of wealth and we're going to be well taken care of so that we could take care of our kids. And so if you don't have the money or the extra money, or you just don't even want to worry about it and you're like, you know what, we're going to build so much money, like it'll be fine. Or you're like, we'll pay for everything, but we're not going to pay for your college. That's totally your decision. But we felt like that was something we wanted to do. And so we've been blessed as well. And education is so powerful. And so we're just trying to set ourselves up and our kids up as best we can. All right, so those were some of the main accounts that we invest in. We have our investments, we have other assets and things that we're working on or that we have that I'm happy to share more about. And so if you are interested in becoming a millionaire faster, definitely check out the Millionaire Fast Lane, or consider being an entrepreneur or creating more value into the world, or learning a higher value skill, or transferring to a different job. If you have been a software engineer for 2 years, maybe go consider working for another company if you like. So there's lots of ways to increase your income. It's not just about your income as well. It's about your assets and how much money you have there. And so I'm happy to do more videos on this, but I hope this was just a little bit insightful or helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to make a follow-up video or just answer any questions you have in the comments below. I love hearing what you guys have to say or helping people. That's my goal here, is to help people live happier and healthier lives and be the people they're meant to be in this world. And so I really hope that this helped a little bit, and let me know if you have questions. So feel free to like and subscribe for more. Keep learning, working, and growing, and good luck to you on your journey. I know you can build the life that you love, and you can build financial success and wealth and happiness and peace for yourself. So thanks for being here. You got this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.